afternoon, dear students. Welcome to my class. In this class, we will discuss the lecture 12 of Business Policy and Strategy. Our learning objective is to understand the value chain analysis. So what's value chain analysis or Porter's value chain model? Porter introduced this generic model in 1985, and as per this model, the organization is viewed as an intermediary that systemically transforms low value inputs into high value outputs, and value chain analysis is one such process that is responsible for the transformation of low value inputs into high value outputs. Now, what happens in value chain analysis? In value chain analysis, a firm first identifies its primary and support activities that add value to its final product, and then analyze these activities to reduce cost or increase differentiation. The various primary activities in the chain includes inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and service. And the various support activities include the firm's infrastructure, human resource management, technology, and procurement. Each of these activities plays a role in the transformation and can be evaluated in terms of its effectiveness and efficiency. Nowadays, we see that the firm's competitive advantage mainly derives from its technological improvements or innovations it has in its business models or the processes. Therefore, the support activities such as information systems, research and development, or general management are usually the most important sources to have the product differentiation strategy, or in other words, the most important source of differentiation advantage. Now, on the other hand, primary activities are usually the source of cost leadership or the source of cost advantage, where costs can be easily identified for each activity and can be properly managed. Now, how a firm can gain its cost advantage in value chain analysis? To gain cost advantage, a firm has to go through 5-step analysis. The first is to identify the firm's primary and support activities. The second step is to establish the relative importance of each activity in the total cost of the product. The third is to identify the cost drivers for each of the activity. The fourth one is to identify the links that is existing between the activities, and the fifth step is to identify the opportunities for reducing the costs. Now we will see each step in detail. Now the first step is to identify the firm's primary and support activities. All the activities from receiving and storing materials to marketing, selling and after sales support, which are undertaken to produce goods or services, need to be clearly identified and separated from each other. But this requires an adequate knowledge of companies' operations, because the value chain activities, which we have already seen, are not organized in the same way as the company itself. So the person who wants to identify the firm's primary and support activities needs to have the knowledge of company's operations. So this was about the first step. In the second step, what we do, we divide the total cost of producing a product or service and then assign it to each of the activity which has been already identified in the step. In the third step, we need to identify the cost drivers for each activity, because by understanding what factors drive the cost, managers can then be able to focus on improving them. Say, for example, costs for labor intensive activities will be driven by work hours, work speed, wage rate, etc. So different activities will have different cost drivers. In the fourth step, we identify the links between the activities. Now, identifying the links between activities will lead to better understanding how cost improvements would affect the whole value chain. For example, fewer components in the product design may lead to less faulty parts and hence lower service costs. The fifth step is to identify the opportunities for reducing the costs. When the company knows its inefficient activities and cost drivers, it can better plan on how to improve them. For example, too high wage rates can be dealt with by increasing the production speed or outsourcing the jobs to the low wage countries or installing more automated processes, because these can be the ways to deal with the high wage rates. So these are the 5-step analysis for cost advantage. In the next slide we will discuss the how to gain the differentiation advantage and what are the steps to get that advantage. In the differentiation advantage, value chain analysis is done differently when a firm competes on differentiation rather than costs. The reason is that the source of differentiation advantage comes from creating superior products, adding more features, and satisfying varying customer needs, which results in higher cost structure. The various steps in gaining the differentiation advantage includes: the first is to identify the customer's value creating activities. The second is to evaluate the differentiation strategies for improving the customer value. And the third one is to identify the best sustainable differentiation. So these are the 3 steps through which we can gain the differentiation advantage, and we will discuss each step one by one in detail. The first step is to identify the customer's value creating activities. After identifying all the value chain activities, managers need to focus on those activities that contribute the most in creating the customer value. For example, the success of Apple products in today's era is because of the successful marketing activities. The second step is to evaluate the differentiation strategies for improving the customer value. Managers can use the following strategies to increase the product differentiation and finally the customer value. The first one is by adding the more product features. The second is focus on customer service and responsiveness. The third is increase the customization. And the fourth one is offer the complementary products. So these are the few strategies which are used by the managers to increase the product differentiation and the customer value. The third step is to identify the best sustainable differentiation. Usually, superior differentiation and customer value will be the result of many interrelated activities and strategies used. The best combination of them must be used to pursue sustainable differentiation advantage. So these are the 3-point analysis for gaining the differentiation advantage. In this lecture, we have seen value chain analysis, Porter's value chain model, and competitive advantage types, which includes cost advantage and differentiation advantage. So this is all for now. Hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.